about 28 men live here and 21 women, so nearly 50 people. All of them would be quite old, in their 60s, 70s, some of them nearly in their 80s. A lot of them would have physical disabilities, they wouldn't be able to move around. Both of these areas were in really very bad condition when we got here, very unhygienic for cooking in, for trying to keep any kind of food in, and how the people weren't getting sick just from the unhygienic way the place was. And again, not the staff's fault, but just pure financial neglect, in that they hadn't got the money to do the place up and keep it in any kind of good shape. So this is the kitchen area. So we would have got new windows put in here, stripped the walls out, replastered, retiled the floor. A fairly basic cooking facilities that they've got. But if you look at it, it's spotless clean, it's well taken care of. I'll just walk in here, if you can just look up that end as well. Like the steel sinks, the cooker in the middle, but spotless. The people really do the best they can with what they've got. So when we got here 3 years ago, the only things they had in this room was a steel bath in this corner here, which didn't work anymore. There was no drainage, there was no water going into it. And they had a plastic chair here with a hose coming out of the wall, which they used to use and try and mix water in to wash the people down. This wasn't because the staff were cruel or anything, it was just that they didn't have anything else to use. So what we did was, this was one of our first projects here in the toilet next door. We stripped the place out, and we stripped back all the walls. The wall behind here is made of wood. It's actually the exterior wall of the building, but it was fairly rotten, so we repaired it as much as we possibly could without taking down the building because the roof was unstable. And we installed this shower here, which is a kind of a half a bath. It's not good enough for Irish standards, and that's being realistic. This would not be acceptable at home. But here, this is the best we could manage with what we had. And it is much better than the conditions they had when we got here.
In 2004, for the first time, Kieran and I went to Belarus with Brian and Anne Kelly, and there we met some old people. And I became very aware that these old people are actually the forgotten ones in our society, or in their society. They were isolated, many of them lived alone in very distant and isolated places. And the thought then occurred to me, wouldn't it be nice if somebody could bless some of these old folk with a gift at Christmas time? People here are very generous. They think in terms of, for instance, do you have a granny? Do you have a granddad? Do they live on their own? Have they anyone who cares for them? So this one here has a nice silver band around it, and we will follow this box all the way through till it is handed over to a lady somewhere in Belarus.
Merry Christmas to you.
Это для вас особенный подарок. Паста.
Всего доброго. У нас потеплеет, як ви побудете. Трохи тепла.
All the world, all the flowers in the world. I know this is my new wife.
Спасибо.
I take you home to my...
You know, you can make a shoebox for an old person. It's all involvement, it's all helping. And maybe you can't get on a plane and go to Belarus this time. Maybe you can do it next year. Maybe you never might be able to do it, but you can still be part of it.